Yo, what up, fam? Welcome back to a very special episode of Q Review / Rashad Review. And joining us is Anthony A. Perez for the first time. Big fan of their YouTube channel. This is the first time of Anthony A. Perez joining us. As you might not know, he is a huge Star Wars fan. Die Hard goes to Galaxy Edge. If you go over there and check out the videos on his channel, it's just some awesome stuff to see from a true die hard Star Wars fan. Rashad G as well is a die hard Star Wars fan. We grew up with it from the 70s since the beginning through the 80s in our whole childhood, and we are here to talk Star Wars. Spoilers! Get out right now if you don't want spoilers, because we'll spoil the shit out of this shit tonight, son. We're here to talk about Rise of Skywalker, spoilers, what we thought of the film, and Star Wars moving forward. So how are you guys feeling tonight?
Chilling, man, chilling. Thank you for waiting for me to get this done, dude. I'm so happy to finally be doing this and talking to you guys outside of just the keyboard.
Oh yeah. We've been a couple of years. We've just been fans of each other's channel, mad support. So it's wild to got the Rebel Alliance here tonight, son. Rashad G, how you feeling tonight? You ready to get into this?
Yeah, man, what's good, y'all? This is definitely an honor to be doing this. I've been following you guys for years, and yeah, man, this is a special moment right now, man. I'm ready to get into this shit.
All right. Oh, yeah. All right. Cool. All right, Rise of Skywalker is here. The 9-film arc, the end of Skywalker is upon us now, and this is the film that we have. You guys already have reviews up on your channel talking about the film. I have not gotten a chance to shoot my review. Oh, I shot my review tonight, but I was Christmas shopping and it was all hectic, so I haven't quite got my thoughts out about the film. Overall, though, straight up, man, I had to take it there. I didn't like this shit. I didn't like Rise of Skywalker, so I was disappointed. It kind of hurt me a little bit, you know what I'm saying? And I wanted to like it. I wanted to go in there, you know what I'm saying, and really enjoy it, though. But what I seen, though, to be honest with you, it was just damage control of a film of trying to make everybody happy from how diversive The Last Jedi was. And I was trying to sit there and find things to like, but what I ended up happening is just I felt hollow inside. But that's just my opinion. That's just my opinion, how I've kind of felt about the movie and stuff. Now we're here to spoil it, so we can get right into it. How is the Emperor back, sir? I give that one to you, Anthony Perez. What do you think? Of course, your overall thoughts of the film, of course.
So I'm actually happy. I want to be able to hear you guys talk about it fully, because I made it a point. I haven't watched your review for it, Rashad, yet, and I know that you haven't posted one yet, Q, because I knew when we were going to do this, I wanted to hear your thoughts. So as far as Palpatine and the movie itself, when I was back in April, I was in Chicago for Star Wars Celebration. I was in that panel. I was there amongst thousands of fans. When they showed that preview and you hear Palpatine laugh at the very end, you hear Luke say, "No one's ever really gone." You hear that laugh. And then Ian McDiarmid came out on stage and everybody went fucking crazy. I was like, damn. In the moment, I'm thinking, they're going to bring Palpatine back? How can you fucking do this? Then you watch then I watched the trailer and I was all about it. But I thought, honestly, going into it, I thought that he was maybe going to be a hologram, that he was going to be something part of the story. I did not expect that he was going to be in the flesh. And man, right out of the gate, they just straight up show literally first 5 minutes of the movie. It's like, oh, he's here in the flesh, 100%.
Yeah.
He's alive. So that element for me, I know it bothered some more than others. I think the only reason for me that I was able to buy into it so easily and just be into it all right, Palpatine's back, is because of what they did with Darth Maul, with the Clone Wars and with Rebels. Here you have this guy who I just watched The Phantom Menace recently, rewatching all the way up to The Rise of Skywalker. And here you have this dude that just gets sliced in half, falls down hundreds of stories, his body's bouncing up against the wall. And you think, dude, how does that motherfucker come back? But they brought him back in the Clone Wars. Fantasy bullshit is really what it comes down to. Just fantasy nonsense.
Yeah. And I don't mind him being back. I think he's a great villain, you know what I'm saying? I don't mind him being back in the movie, just how he was kind of just quickly shoehorned in the movie. And had a problem how you going to just kind of bring him back and explain why, because the opening crawl was about like 3 sentences. Like, Palpatine's back, y'all. Shady's back. The day they back, and they kind of rushed into it. I was like, okay, he just back, son. Cause Slim Shady's back, right?
Yeah. Listen, can I say something? Okay, so Anthony, just to touch on what you said, yeah, I agree. The route they did with Darth Maul, bringing him back, that's the same thing with Palpatine. But only difference for me with that is that George Lucas killed Darth Maul way too early. Like I remember going to see Phantom Menace, and he was the best thing about the movie. So I was mad at the fact that he died. I think I was in the theater, and I was like one of the only people that was upset because I remember everybody was applauding when he got cut in half. And I'm like, no, why would you kill such a cool character so early? So it's almost like that was owed to us, man. They had to bring him back. Mm-hmm. The thing with Palpatine, though, Palpatine was part of Vader/Anakin's arc, where the whole thing of Vader being evil, and now when you threw him over the ledge, that symbolized this is the end of evil. This is the end of the Empire. This is the end of my dark run. I'm Anakin Skywalker again. So that death should have, he should have stayed dead because that really, that kind of took away from Jedi. But it was still kind of cool to see him because Palpatine's such a cool villain, and he looked scary as shit in the movie, by the way. He looked like something out of the Evil Dead too. He did. But it just took away, for me, it just took away from Jedi. The fact that, now it's like Anakin's sacrifice was for nothing.
Yeah. I can feel that. I think for me, if you watch my review for it, like the first thing I said about the movie was that I loved it, but I felt like this is not going to be a movie for everybody. I think that more than any other Star Wars movie, personally for me, this movie was the first time that I ever watched a movie and thought to myself, I can't walk out of the movie and think, you're all going to love this. This is a movie that I think it asks a lot of you to swallow. And it's not even the Palpatine thing for me. We can get into it deeper as we get into more of the spoilers later on. But my overall thoughts on the film were that I really enjoyed myself. As a Star Wars fan, there was a lot there for me. I had a lot of fun. The first act, crazy stupid rushed, like so rushed with exposition and just jumping around to different planets, characters that you have no time to spend time with and really get to know. There's so much about it that was done right for me. But yeah, I think that some of the story beats in this movie, without a doubt, definitely leave you in a place of like, you're either going to buy into that or you're just not. This is not going to be your Star Wars movie. Right. For me, I think it was, the more thought I've given it, it has some of my favorite moments in the franchise as an overall, but it's my least favorite film in this current trilogy, even though it has some of my favorite moments in the trilogy. I think that's the best way I can wrap up the film for me personally. And there's still some things that, even as a crazy Star Wars fan like myself, who have read the books and comics, and I've seen some stuff that you would like, if you only watch the movies, you're like, what? Like, that doesn't make sense. That doesn't feel like Star Wars. But I bought into it because whatever. I like the fun adventures and stories in Star Wars. This is the first time in a long time that I've watched something that there's things in there in the story that they want me to swallow that I'm still struggling to swallow just a little bit.
Yeah, and I feel you on that too, because I'm not here like I don't want to be like the Star Wars hate guy or the toxic fandom that's that's trying to come across like that, because I want to love it too, like what I'm saying, like literally I grew up with the Star Wars and how important it was. Like when we had just the first 3 trilogies of film, how special they were to us, and how great the storytelling was, and how it made me like feel inside. You know what I'm saying? And the prequels, say what you will about them, at least they had a plan from beginning to end, to start to finish, of how they wanted to end that. This here just seemed like retcon from the last movie, that they didn't have a clear plan of where they wanted to go. They kind of just went in the backyard and started filming the movie to get you ready for your holiday season, to get your money, you know what I'm saying, because it's Star Wars, because they know people will support it, you know what I'm saying, they know people will support it. Now, as far as falling in love with the characters all again, coming from this movie, I have a hard time with it. But you know what I'm saying, that's just only my opinion. I just wonder how, children, Rashad was saying, he went to Target and all the toys were like on clearance. Like back in our day, to get a Luke Skywalker toys is like almost impossible. You know what I'm saying? Them jokes was sold out. I just don't want it to lose its luster that it always is, that Star Wars can be. You know what I'm saying? And I think some people in play need to be shifted around so we can get an overall better story arc, in my opinion, just better told stories. Not like this was the worst of the worst ever, but for a finale of 9 arc movies, I was a little disappointed.
Yeah, definitely. And to add to that, yeah, I went to Target and literally, bro, like Marvel had its own section, Toy Story had its own section, Star Wars section was like this. And I remember being a kid, and I remember Star Wars had like its own shit.
Yeah,
And
so wow.
you couldn't wait to get the Falcon. You couldn't wait to get the X-Wing fighter. Like Christmas morning, you got up. I still got the old Darth Vader, like the carrying case.
Lucky
that carries all the
motherfucker! I
figures.
can't believe you got that shit.
Yeah, well, I was a spoiled little shit, man. You know, until my brother came and ruined everything. You know, because when I was the only child, you know. But yeah, I had the whole Return of the Jedi collection, the Jabba Palace, all of that shit, man. And it's like with these new movies, there's nothing like that. So I think also what's taken away is that because Star Wars was originally children's films. George Lucas meant for these to be films for kids. And it's like with these new films, they're more trying to cater more towards, I guess, the adult audience or the adult Star Wars audience that were kids back in the day. Mm-hmm. But I think they should go back to the formula of make these children's films. And even though they were kids' films back then, because they were so great, adults loved them. Everybody loved these movies. You know, if you was from the hood, no matter where you was from, you know, you can relate to Star Wars. And now it's like they don't really know who the audience is, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I guess that's why they don't sell a lot of merch, because they, you know what I'm saying, they don't know who the hell they're trying to cater to.
Yeah, and I wonder, do I sound like the old man, you know? Do I sound like the old guy? Get off my lawn, goddammit, where's my Star Wars? I don't want to sound like that, but you know, what I seen, I probably do. But what I seen, I had a little bit some issues with just storytelling wise, and I just couldn't just celebrate it as for being a good film because it was Star Wars, and I had some good stuff to say about it. It's not all bad, you know. I think the acting was fine in it, you know. I think Kylo Ren, played by Adam Driver, is always fire when he was on screen. I think he's my favorite arc of the whole new trilogy to me. At least he had an arc, like a really good arc, you know what I'm saying, between him fighting with the light and being a Sith. You know what I'm saying? I really love that. And you know what I'm saying, the duality of killing your own father. I thought that was good, you know what I'm saying, a good arc. Rey's not completely 100% on board with just as yet, you know. But it's some good stuff in there. John Williams, you know, it's no brainer. John Williams gonna carry this shit a little bit. You know what I'm saying? It's no brainer. But you know, it didn't have that Duel of Fate main theme that I probably wanted from this one. But overall, his score was still good. It's good stuff, and the special effects are bananas. Practical effects, the digital artists did the goddamn thing on that shit. I mean, it looked, you know what I'm saying, creme de la creme. I'm buying on 4K just to look at it. You know what I'm saying, at least. So yeah.
Yeah, I think that we're in a time where, like, nowadays with the amount of money behind Lucasfilm, there's no really excuse. And now you see the Mandalorian, the new trilogy, just visually what they're able to do with Star Wars, practically and digitally, is just really, really insane. But to bounce real quick, to bounce off what you guys were saying as far as like merchandise and stuff, I think the only reason, I think Star Wars is in a different era now, and obviously that's the obvious answer, right? But things like Marvel, for instance, characters like from Marvel and DC will live on forever and ever and ever, because it doesn't really matter who's under the cowl. It doesn't matter who's wearing the cape. It's the character. It's the archetype. You know what I mean? Whereas with Star Wars, I feel like we're at a time now where I truly, growing up forever, I would say Star Wars was for everybody. But I think it's almost heartbreaking to say as the diehard Star Wars fan I am. But I think Star Wars is getting to a place that it's not for everybody, because it's kind of like you said, like, who are they catering to, right? Certain movies like Force Awakens catered, I felt like, to Star Wars fans as a whole. It was like, you know, whether you liked the movie or you were in love with it or not, it was a good return to form for Star Wars. It felt very, you know, what you're used to, what you want to see out of Star Wars. For the most part, it feels like most people walked out of that with a smile on their face. And then you do something like The Last Jedi, where it just takes things too different. I love that movie. Everybody has their opinions. That's fine about it. Like, I think that there's valid points in all of them. I think perfection has never been what made Star Wars so awesome, at least for me. Like, it's the quirks, it's the silliness, it's the characters, it's the little things that, you know, when you were younger, you sit around with your friends talking shit about the little mistakes you saw in Star Wars. Oh, you ever seen that shit? Or you ever seen E.T. and Phantom Menace? Like, the little random stuff is part of what has built up the mythology across fans of what Star Wars is. And now, you know, I think that it's tough when you have a franchise that relies so heavily on outside of movie material to like expand this universe, that some kids and some people just ain't growing up with Star Wars the same way when it was like brand spanking new. You know, but they still got Spider-Man, they still got, you know, Iron Man, all that kind of stuff, because those characters can just be redone in cartoons and this and that. countlessly without it having to be stuck to this rigid line of being canon. You know what I mean? And I think a perfect example for me of really realizing that this is going to start getting tough for fans of only Star Wars from the movies was Solo, when you saw Darth Maul at the end. Like that cameo for me, I can't tell you how many people I know told me like, oh, this movie takes place before Phantom Menace. And I'm like, well, no, that really wouldn't make sense with Han Solo's age, but they don't get it. You know what I mean? Like they don't know Darth Maul came back. You know how many people still don't know Darth Maul came back and what's going on? I think that little things like that being placed in these movies are going to start. Like if you watch The Last Jedi, there are little Easter eggs in there from the Star Wars Battlefront 2 campaign, which is considered canon, that kind of like connect to like things with Luke and a device that he finds in that game that he has inside of his like hut inside of The Last Jedi and stuff like that. For me, I'm like laser-eyed, eagle-eyed fan, like, oh, there's that thing. But I think that the more they start to do that with these cameos, stuff like that, it's going to start getting tough for people to really feel like, was that necessary? Was that cohesive? Or was that just fan service? You know what I mean? And I think that's where it starts to get a little tough with Star Wars with some of this newer stuff. But yeah, I totally don't think this movie is going to do it for everybody. I think that this movie is going to be, I personally walked out of it thinking this is going to be more divisive than The Last Jedi, which was funny to see because I feel like most people online have typically enjoyed it. Some people really hate it, but I feel like a lot of people online are enjoying it. And I love the fact that you guys have these differing opinions so we can have, you know, kind of three different sides to this.
Yeah. I love what you said about mythology there. And I think Star Wars has the best mythology, just as strong as a Marvel or a DC. And it doesn't have to be about, you know what I'm saying, the characters like a certain Spider-Man or Luke Skywalker. Just how deep George Lucas created that Star Wars mythology, they can take it and make another beautiful story. Just like Mandalorian. I mean, I think it's enough there that keeps me coming every week. You know what I'm saying? I think they can take this mythology. It's so many places we can go. We can talk about, you know what I'm saying, Old Republic. When I play Old Republic, like, this is a whole new world. A whole new world. You know what I'm saying? If they take that mythology, you know what I'm saying, and make something dope out of it, that's all I'm saying. And it's not just for me. It's going to be for my kids and their kids. You know what I'm saying? Star Wars will live forever. It won't. I don't think it'll crash and burn. I think the mythology is too deep for it to die for, you know what I'm saying, forever. It's strong right now. It's strong with the Force. I think 176 million it pulled in, so it ain't going nowhere. You know what I'm saying? I just would like some more people in place to maybe start putting it on a different track. I'm kind of glad this thing is over now, this trilogy, so we can maybe move forward with new stories and you know, new stories of the Force or not. Just stay in that Star Wars mythology, and I don't think it's going anywhere. You've been to Galaxy's Edge. You see how popping that shit is. You see the fans. The fans are die hard. This shit is not gonna die. It is the new mythology. It's the new fucking Batman. It's the new Action Comics #1. I mean, it's gonna move forward. You know, sometimes it takes a dip to come back, I think. But you know, that's just my opinion on some of it.
Well, listen. Well, thanks to fathers like me, I feel like I've been successful as a father because my daughter 14, and for years I've been trying to convert her to the Force, and I failed every time. Now, recently, when she first saw the trailer for Rise of Skywalker, I'm gonna give Rise of Skywalker this. When she saw the trailer, she says, "Oh, I want to see this. Now I want to see the rest of them." I said, "Holy shit!" So we binged all of them. We watched it machete style. Anthony, I know you against that, but it was my first time trying it, and I did dig watching it that way. And we saw Rise of Skywalker, and she actually enjoyed it. And she says, "Daddy, I really love Star Wars now." And my eyes were shrunk wrapped with tears. I said, "Finally."
There you go.
Unlimited.
Yeah, she's down. Yeah, power.
And I would say the benefit of that.
I'm gonna share something with y'all though. When I went to see this movie, right? The movie was kind of working for me. Okay, the whole Palpatine thing, I said, okay, whatever. I just want to enjoy a good action movie. All right, so I came in here with low expectations, sat down, watched it. Visually, it was beautiful. I loved looking at it. Some of the fight scenes were cool. All right, some scenes were ridiculous, like Rey catching a damn ship in midair and Force lightning coming out of her hand. I mean, Sith lightning or whatever. I said, okay, whatever. The part where I got mad, where I got pissed off, was at the end. I'm sitting in the recliner chair, right? The chair's reclined, I'm relaxed, and she takes on the mantle of Rey Skywalker. So I'm sitting there, right? I said it out loud, too. when the old lady asked her, "What's your name?" She says, "Ray." Ray what? I said, "Don't you say it. Don't you fucking say it. Skywalker." I put my seat up. I put my shoes on right before the store. By the time I got downstairs, the credits were starting to roll. And I said, "She's not a Skywalker. She's a Palpatine. No." And my daughter said, "Oh my God, Daddy." I kept saying, "She's not a Skywalker, man. No."
Yeah, why couldn't she just be Palpatine? Like, yeah, my peoples was evil, but this is who I am now. You know, I'm Palpatine. Yeah. I'm calling the world to know. You know what I'm saying?
I don't know, man. I honestly, I'll tell you what, the last 5 minutes of this movie made me incredibly emotional, and maybe because there were so many pieces connected there for me, from like even supplemental material that's not even necessary to watch this movie. But watching this for me, that was the one thing. I'll just jump right into it. The one thing that I still struggle with watching this movie, and I'm gonna see it over and over and over and over again to really solidify my thoughts, is her being Palpatine's granddaughter. That for me, dude, honestly, just at this point, listen, just it's all right. At this point, do the fan servicey thing. Tell us that Mara Jade from Legends existed at one point, who was Luke's wife in the old books and comics. Tell us she died at some point and she gave birth to Rey and she died protecting her or some shit. Like, whatever. And like, or just tell us that. And she was, or honestly, leading up to the movie, for the longest time, I was, you know, Star Wars has always been built on parallels. You have things that are similar in some movies to other, you know, things, little scenes that replicate certain scenes. We've already kind of had the "I am your father" version of this scene of this trilogy, when we find out that from Snoke that Han Solo is Ben's father. You know what I mean? You're like, oh shit. When you watch The Force Awakens, you're like, oh damn, like that's a oh damn kind of moment. And for me, it was like, I kind of was thinking that maybe Rey was Kylo's like sister, like they maybe would have been like twins and they got separated, just like Luke and Leia. You know, like I never felt a romantic element throughout their franchise, the entirety of the trilogy. People wanted that whole Reylo thing. I think that they just kind of get caved into the Reylo fans. That kiss didn't need to happen. I don't hate it. I don't think it was amazing. I think they could. I think if they just embraced, you know what I mean, maybe like a forehead to forehead kind of thing, and he faded away, something like that. You know what I mean? I got the connection. I liked the tension and the relationship they had, but there was the romantic element there for me. Like literally the last two movies, she was calling him a monster, calling him like a psychopath, and now she's like, bro, I want your babies. Like, I don't know, like
kiss
something about that.
Kiss me in the mouth. It really, like Empire, you know, when they kiss, like they really brother and sister, like, oh, well, that's all right. It's kind of cute. But this, it feel like, ugh. I feel like you're kissing, you know, my mama or something. I feel
well, sure. I want to know when the hell was Palpatine knocking boots, man?
Yeah.
I thought the Sith and the Jedi didn't get down like that.
Yeah, I need that extra footage, you know what I'm saying, behind the scenes footage. He just be like hitting it from the back, like, unlimited power!
Well, that's easily my number one thing.
Power!
That's easily the most like frustrating part of the whole thing for me, was just like really thinking about it. I'm like, man, with all the knowledge I got of Star Wars, the books and comics and things that interconnect with shit, like being able to see Maul and see this and that and all these other movies, it's like, I know this, I know that, I know that. Like, that's for me. That was the one thing for me that I was like, what? Like, okay, so we're thinking, you got to really think about it. Like, Rey is like early 20s in this trilogy. Okay, this trilogy has taken place within a span of like 2.5, 3 years at most. Then, you know, you think, okay, Rey's like 20 something, so she was left on Jakku at like what, like the age of like 8 or whatever, and her parents like left her, or whatever. Like, obviously that wasn't the case, but before her parents were like, you know, her parents were protecting her. So number one, first of all, you mean to tell me that Vader had 2 kids with a non-Force sensitive lady that both went on to become Force sensitive, powerful Jedi, or people that at least were connected to the Force in a strong way? You mean to tell me that the dude that in this movie shoots lightning to the sky and takes out multiple ships has a kid, and his actual child has no Force sensitivity, that it's his grandchild that he's after? Like, that's the one thing for me that I'm still struggling to swallow, because I'm even as the Star Wars fan that I am, like I said it in my review, that there was just some things that I was struggling to swallow, and it's the idea that Rey is Palpatine's granddaughter, because I'm just like, I feel that's the one thing. Bring Palpatine back, sure. It's fantasy, it's wizards in space with laser swords and talking robots. I'll buy into that shit. But Palpatine being his grandfather is just like you said. When was he knocking boots? When was he getting it on? So that we're talking this being about the father in that scene, that when they showed the flashback, looked like he was like in his like late 20s, early 30s. So we're talking about Palpatine knocking boots somewhere around the end of the Clone Wars, around Revenge of the Sith, after Revenge of the Sith. So you mean to tell me that? Well, I mean, I guess you can say Palpatine being the Emperor, you got to imagine that he got all the ladies he wanted, by forcibly. But I'm just thinking, like, when was he doing this? Who was he doing this with? And his actual child themselves was not force sensitive at all. Like, that just doesn't seem right to me.
Yeah, it seems real.
I think that they was making this up as they was going, man. That's what I think. And I think when Lucas did,
yeah, I had to.
Yeah, when Lucas did the original trilogy and when he did the prequels, like he had a clear idea of where the story was going. That's why it felt like a whole story when you watch those. Yeah. With these, it's almost like, okay, let's just make shit up as we go.
Yeah, Luke, they didn't know Luke and Leia was going to be sisters, though. George Lucas didn't kind of make that up on the fly.
Yeah.
Okay, so that wasn't the plan. He didn't.
Yeah, people make shit up. You know what I'm saying? They make it a movie. You know what I'm saying? They kind of change it a little bit, and and make certain things. But I think they had an overall end to it. You know what I'm saying? The overall how they were going to end it. Like here, I think they were really kind of going off the gut of Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah, they just went bonkers, man.
Yeah, those stars.
Anthony.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, well, Anthony, I want to ask you this, man. Okay, because if this is the way, I think the movie would have ended like this, I'd have been down for it. So, Kylo Ren becomes Ben Solo again. I love that moment. Okay, he's back to the light. I think the movie, if it would have ended with Rey sacrificing herself, okay, she saves the day. The Emperor's dead. She's halfway responsible for Ben Solo coming back, okay? She dies. She stays dead. They, like you said, they have a moment where not of romance, but damn, like, thank you for bringing me back. Movie ends with Ben Solo looking at the two sons on Tatooine, Luke and Leia's Force Ghost. He's looking at his uncle and his mama. Look, I'm back. And they're looking on like, yes, my boy is back. But to have Rey standing looking at the Force Ghost, yes, this is our new adoptive child. Forget Ben Solo. He was evil. He was a piece of shit. You are now the chosen Skywalker. If it would have ended with Ben in that moment, I think it would have been better for me.
Yeah. I can understand.
What do you think?
I can understand that. I think that there's some things in this movie that definitely could have been executed a little bit better. Some things that I think I'm going to have to sit with time, and it's like every time I watch a new Star Wars movie, even if I enjoy it, especially this new stuff right now, and we've had so many of things, even with Mandalorian, like I see this new Star Wars and I'm like, my mind's trying to wrap my mind around it because I've seen those other 6 films. I can't even tell you how many times I've seen those damn films. Like I know them like a song. You listen to a song. You know when shit's gonna drop. You're singing along with the words. It's exactly how I feel when I watch the Star Wars movie. So I see this new stuff and shit. So some of this is super jarring. But I agree, man. I think that had they made it focus on Ben, and honestly, I've thought about what my favorite scene of the movie is. Right, my favorite scene of the movie. Dude, there's some amazing action. There's some great visuals, some great. I'm a sucker for all of the space battle stuff, like that kind of stuff. You got my money instantly. You can tell me there's a whole movie of just that. You can tell me there's a movie of Darth Vader going to a vending machine and at the Death Star to pick up something, whatever.
Yeah.
But I'm all about it. But my favorite scene of the movie, for me personally, was the scene between Kylo and Han Solo. Personally, I think that was one of the most emotionally impactful scenes of the film. The performance between him and Harrison Ford was so well done, and I love that they recreate that scene from The Force Awakens. And at the very end, before he tosses his saber into the water, they recreate the "I love you, I know" scene. I don't know if you guys caught that.
Oh yeah,
I'm
from
sure
Empire.
You did.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he he's like kind of like teary-eyed, and he's like, "Dad," and he's like, "I know," and I just love that. I love how beautiful that moment was. There was something about it that, for me, that moment encapsulated Star Wars for me. In that moment, it's about the characters first and foremost. It's about you can have these films with hokey special effects and some silly ideas, Ewoks and all this crap. But at the end of the day, when you think of them, something like Return of the Jedi, I enjoy seeing the Ewoks like throwing like rocks and bow and arrows at the stormtroopers. But what you really think about is those little moments. You think about Vader saying like, "Oh, you have a twin sister," and Luke like just starts turning his lightsaber on and screaming, "No!" Or like you think about like that very last shot of Return of the Jedi, which for me, I knew that this movie was not going to be able to be the same finale that Return of the Jedi is or was. That finale shot, like you were just mentioning, with kind of like what you wanted to do with Ben a little bit, with Luke looking at all the Force ghosts. it's all about those moments, the feelings, the moments. And I think that for me with this movie, yeah, man, going back to what you originally asked me, because I'm rambling now. Yeah, I think it would have been a lot more powerful had it been Ben at the very end. But I do get why they did Rey. She's the hero of the story. The idea, I think, for her was denouncing denounce no matter what bloodlines you're from, that you don't have to follow down that path. Even though you can now look back on the past films and think, all right, you see that darkness in her to an extent. But at the same time, it's like, all right, I think the idea is that the Skywalker name lives on beyond the bloodline itself. It's in the people that they invested in, the people that they connected with. You know what I mean? So from an emotional standpoint, I was like, all right, I'll buy into that. That was probably my least worries of the film. But I do agree that had they done it with Ben, there could have been some real emotion there.
I would have been like, yeah, been crying my ass off. I'm a big crier, man. I'm gonna be real.
Same.
I cried in Return of the Jedi when Vader took the mask off. Help me take this mask off, but you'll die. Nothing can stop that. For once, let me look on you with my own eyes.
My own eyes. That was fucking some good shit. That's some good fucking, Shakespearean Caesar shit right there. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. That is deep. Yeah. I didn't have that deep connection for me at all in this movie. Even when I know that's your favorite scene. I felt that was heartfelt when you see it. I'm glad you felt that way when Han Solo came on the screen. When I see him, it seems like, oh shit. It's Harrison Ford. You know what I'm saying? I didn't have that. And then I started thinking, how is Harrison Ford? And how is Han Solo here? Is he took some mushrooms? Is he hallucinating because he's not force sensitive? How is Harrison Ford here right now? Is he just thinking about it? It's like, okay, whatever, Emperor's back, so I kind of got it. You know what I'm saying? But I see what you're saying. And same thing with Leia. We got to talk about Carrie Fisher here. Hats off to them for being so ambitious to put her in the movie, because she was in there a lot more than I thought she was going to be in the movie. She was kind of a pretty major part to the plot. But some of the scenes though, and I give them ambitious credit, because she was gone and they kept using the same footage over again, and she just seemed like she was like we got the plans to Palpatine right now, General Leia. Let's go kill her now. She's like, oh, I left the hyperdrive in the microwave. And they go like this, and then they cut to her again, and she's saying some crazy shit like, "Oh, that damn droid." Like, what the fuck is going on? You know, I'm like you should, either don't put her in the movie too much at all, or just very, very little bit. You know what I'm saying? I think that didn't work for me as well. And I love Carrie Fisher. You know what I'm saying? What a beautiful gal, but that part didn't quite work for me. Just being honest. And I'm glad we all three here, because we all got three different aspects and points on the movie. So I think this makes us a fire review.
X
for sure, man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that different opinions is it's what makes talking about movies fun, man. Mm-hmm. That's why I almost feel like I have to I have to really disassociate from social media and talking to people in comment sections and stuff like that, because it's just people who just want to get nasty about it. I love being able to have discussions about this kind of thing. This was the whole thing, bro. Back in the day, you'd sit around and you'd be like, no, they would never do this and that. And be, oh, no, that motherfucker sucked. Oh, this. You sit around and you would have these conversations with your friends. And that's why I appreciate being able to have this kind of chat with you guys.
Yeah, and I appreciate everybody being honest about it. You know what I'm saying? Just actually tell us how we feel about it. You know what I'm saying? Because you get a lot of people on here that are bullshit, you know what I'm saying, and say some shit just to say some stuff, though. But, when I look at you guys, we're okay, he really telling the truth of how he feels, and that's very important, and I respect that type of thing, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah, the stuff I'm saying to Star Wars, I know you're a super fan, Perez, man, don't take this to heart, but this film didn't work for me. I turned this camera around. I got all this Star Wars shit, all this memorabilia set right here, my fucking Jedi swords, all that shit. I grew up on this shit. I love Star Wars. That's why I wanted to see it do better in the future. You know what I'm saying? And that's all I'm saying. I'm enjoying Mandalorian. I'm enjoying Fallen Order like a mug. I love fighting. You know what I'm saying? The sisters, the Inquisitors. Yeah, it's dope. I'm fucking enjoying that. So I enjoy Star Wars. I just wanted to live on. And what do you guys think about Carrie Fisher in Rise of Skywalker?
Carrie Fisher, I thought, well, something did seem off. Like I could tell that they, I mean, well, first of all, I couldn't tell that they used the archive footage because it looked like it, her scenes kind of blended seamlessly with the movie, but something just felt off. Well, like you said, like all this shit's going on, and her response is like, real kind of like, yeah, so let's just do this. Like, motherfucker, we about to lose the galaxy. Okay, well, yeah, go fire that. I'm like, so yeah, something did feel kind of off. Yeah, it felt off. And wait a minute, and I want to say something else too. Not so much about Carrie Fisher, but about Princess Leia herself. So we find out in here that Luke trained her to be a Jedi. Now, I don't know if that's in the books or not, but I had no knowledge that she was a trained Jedi because in Last Jedi, she did that Mary Poppins shit where she was able to fly through space. I said, wait a minute, when did she become a Jedi? And then she even had her own lightsaber and everything. They showed her and Luke in the forest training and shit, and she whooped Luke's ass. So I said, what the fuck did I miss? So and then Ray even called her Master. I said, Master? I said, look, I had a Samuel L. Jackson moment from Revenge of the Sith. Listen, we accept you on this council, but you are not a master. What? Like, when did Leia become a master, man? What did I miss, bro?
Well, I think in that moment, calling her master was just more like, like teacher, like you're my master in the training of the Jedi arts. But to go back to what you were saying, in the old books and comics, prior to Disney's acquisition of Lucasfilm, Leia did become a Jedi, and there's plenty of books and comics where she does actually become a Jedi. But then, obviously, I don't know if you guys know this, but when Disney bought Lucasfilm, there was just so many books and comics, like hundreds and hundreds, that filled in this story. And like I was one of the few fans, I think, that really understood. I mean, there's plenty of that too, but I was one of the many fans that understood, like, okay, for me, I'd rather be able to see Mark Hamill and these characters in another film, even if it doesn't play off of all those stories I've been reading. So, there was no way they were going to be able to give us a story within today's modern world with trying to explain all those books and comics. So I think that was slowly their way of kind of creeping a few elements in, was her, going from just being a little Force sensitive in Empire and Return of the Jedi to like eventually like actually being a little bit more in depth with the Force. That scene with the flashback, I love that, because for me, again, that was like a callback to those books and comics. Even if she's not the Jedi, I wanted to see her be in these films. I love the fact that, number one, I do agree though about Carrie Fisher being kind of off in the movie. I think when you watch the scenes, like the only thing I kept thinking was, I love seeing her on screen. Carrie Fisher was like my first crush of all time. Like love my life still to this day. And she, in those scenes, you can definitely tell it was dialogue that she was having with Han. Like you can definitely tell it was dialogue she was having with Han Solo in a lot of these scenes. Like little things that she would say and the way that she would say them and the way she was looking were very reminiscent of those scenes where she's with Han in the Resistance base right before they go to Starkiller base. Like she was wearing like almost the same outfits in some of those scenes too. That there's definitely that, and you can definitely tell where she was digitally added into certain scenes. So I don't think it was the strongest thing, but I do appreciate how well they wove it into the story for what it was. But yeah, I like seeing that flashback scene, man. But yeah, I know that a lot of people were freaking out about the Mary Poppins scene, as you worded, and a lot of people were calling it that. Whereas for me, like, everybody was like, she's flying. I'm like, she's not flying. She's using the Force to pull herself in, guys. Come on. But everybody's like, she's flying. But I do get it though. I think that these films didn't really have the time to establish everything that they wanted to establish. You know what I mean? Like, say what you want about the prequels, but I agree. Like they didn't flesh everything out either, but they were able to, like you said, tell a cohesive like beginning, middle, and end. You know what I mean? That felt a little bit more. I think it's just this movie for me. The Last Jedi feels like a proper. There's things that you may not like about it, but it feels like a solid sequel, at least, to The Force Awakens. Whereas this one feels very different and very, very much stands out.
Yeah, now I like Last Jedi better than this film right now, because I have some problems with what they did with certain characters and everything, but overall it's a film from from beginning to end. He tried some very bodacious moves with the Force and everything, but it was his vision. And this JJ just seemed to be fan service and everybody. Even man, that Luke Skywalker scene where he literally said Ryan Johnson sucked my dick when he caught the Force, like Jedi doesn't do this with this weapons wherever he was. It's like, this is not what I'm supposed to do. I was like, that's literally shitting on Ryan Johnson, because Ryan Johnson did shit on J.J. Abrams first when he threw it back. Like, you watching this East Coast, West Coast rap beef with directors go down in a trilogy, and we kind of overall, you know what I'm saying, missed the meaning and the story of this whole trilogy. So I think with these three, especially with these two directors, I call them dual directors. It's like the Prestige and shit. With these two dual directors, and let Kathleen Kennedy let them do that, I think overall we suffer from this trilogy. It's going to be more, of course, but from overall, I think we kind of just, you know, because JJ tried to fix it all, you know what I'm saying, with Luke, and you know, and they tried to bring Luke to redeem himself, and he did a little bit to me, but you know, he should have just, like, if that was him in Last Jedi, keep it going, you know what I'm saying? But you don't have to be the super asshole, but you know, but he was really I'm sorry for that movie, Layla. I was wrong. I was like, oh shit, they're really trying to retcon this movie. That,
you know, and
which is not cool, man. I mean, look, I dug The Last Jedi also. You know, I think, you know, Rian Johnson tried to be different with it, and I respect that. And a lot of people had a problem with the way Luke Skywalker was done in Last Jedi, and I understand where they're coming from with that, but you got to think, this is years from Return of the Jedi. So right. Luke, of course, he's not going to be the same person. So he's older, he's a little bit more bitter. He tried to train the Jedi, which ended up becoming the Knights of Ren. And he failed his nephew, so now he's a bitter old man living in solitude, waiting to die. And he does have an arc because he says, "Okay, let me do something good for once in my life again, and help the Resistance." And that scene where he was on that rock and he was able to teleport himself to another planet as a hologram. When I first saw that bugged me the fuck out. I was like, you know, yeah. So I did like the arc with Luke in Last Jedi, and yeah, people got mad because he died. I said, well, I didn't like it either because Luke Skywalker was one of my favorites, but I get why they did that. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And for him to go out like that was like a G. Luke showed he's more like, that was the most powerful shit I've ever seen a Jedi do.
Right.
Yeah. No, that was definitely a beautiful scene. For me, I love The Last Jedi. Little things I nitpick. My least favorite thing about The Last Jedi, I have two things about The Last Jedi that I literally can't stand. And I mean, it doesn't ruin the film for me. It doesn't ruin my childhood, as many say. One of them being the lightsaber toss over the shoulder, only because The Force Awakens, that last 30 seconds with Rey, like, showing him that saber, that reluctant look on his face, the way the camera pans around, that beautiful John Williams score. There's such a power there. So there's so much emotion there. And then just to think that in the next second he's going to go yeet and just toss it over his shoulder, it's just kind of like, damn. But so that's bothered me. But I almost feel like the things that were, the people call, like you said, retcons. I don't feel like they're retcons as much as they're like fun nods, or like things that kind of similar to, like you were saying with like Leia and Luke kissing in Empire. Like, if that happened in this trilogy today, people would be like, oh, they didn't know what the hell they were doing. They were ruining it. Like, if somebody would have been brother and sister in this movie that made out in the last movie, everybody would be like, what the hell? Like, whereas now we've all kind of just accepted it. You know what I mean? Like, we've all accepted Luke and Leia kissed. Luke kind of wanted to get in all up in those white pajamas. You know what I mean? Like, and for a period of time, and it is what it is. So we've all just kind of bought into it. And it's like, that's no longer the mentality, right? So for me, when I go back and I watch it, I love the fact that they ended up, when I watched Snoke die, everybody was like, all right, they were just getting rid of Snoke. I thought of it the two ways. All right, he's Emperor 2.0. Maybe they just felt like he was in the way of the story. And also, I felt this guy could possibly be a clone. And it ended up being exactly that Snoke was cloned, which was a callback for me to old comics and books, specifically novels, where the Emperor, I don't know if you guys know this, but Palpatine came back a bunch of times in the old canon, a bunch of times after Return of the Jedi, but by cloning himself. So it was clones of Palpatine himself in the old books and comics. Look them up. It was wacky. Like the old canon did some wacky things. And so for me, that was a nice little callback of like, oh, he was cloning this other person that he was kind of using as like a puppet, essentially. So I thought that was the whole arc of the Emperor, right? To live forever, to be immortal. He was even talking about that in the prequels. That's the whole thing in the Emperor. He wants to live forever, correct? Yeah, exactly. No, that's exactly the thing. And there's even there's an episode of Rebels. I don't know if you guys have seen. You guys need to check out the Clone Wars and Rebels entirety if you guys haven't checked it out. There's an episode of Rebels. Yeah,
I'm still on Clone Wars. Yeah, I'm still on season 1.
So I won't get too deep into spoilers, but there's an episode of Clone Wars that's a little jarring for some people, where essentially the characters find this Jedi temple, and once they get inside of it, one character gets inside of it. It's essentially called the World Between Worlds, and it is a place outside of space and time itself within this Jedi temple. Or just imagine like a whole room that looks like stars, like you're in space and you can walk across these walkways, and inside of them there are these different portals that can literally like show you moments in different times. So like literally, essentially, it's time travel in Star Wars without it being like a time travel machine. It's the ability to kind of jump in and out of moments in time. Some people don't like that. Some people really like it. I really enjoyed the way they did it. Palpatine is as a part of that section of the show, and Ian McDiarmid actually plays him in the show too, which is great. And he tries to get control. He wants control of this section that the Jedi have in order for him to be able to, if he had control of that, he'd be able to jump all over time and space and fuck shit up however the hell he wanted to. So yeah, touching on what you said, like Palpatine has always been about like living forever and being able to continue on his legacy. Even in the Star Wars Battlefront 2 game, like the campaign, we find out that he had a contingency plan where he literally had droids that had hologram faces of himself that were like sending out these like essentially he had more. He was like, listen, I may be dead, but I got all kinds of plans. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, I like that those little hints and nods at things. I like that this film, for me, it didn't retcon things as much as it just kind of gave us more context to them. So when you go back and watch The Last Jedi and even The Force Awakens, there's these little connective tissues now that kind of make you think, oh, I could see that in a different way. Whether that was the intention in the moment or not, that's a different discussion. But, I enjoy those little connective pieces that they've now added into this movie that I feel make The Last Jedi, a little bit better. Yeah. For some people who maybe didn't like it before.
Mm-hmm. Well, this may be an unpopular opinion, man, but I was telling Q this earlier. I said this is supposed to be the Skywalker saga. Now, to me now, the Skywalker saga ended on the Jedi. This should be called like the Rey saga because Rey's the focal point of this shit. You have some of the old characters in here. It's fan service, okay? But it's not about them. Even Luke, it's not about Luke. The Skywalker saga is about Anakin, how a good person turns bad, and how his kids have to bring him back, and the whole shit we threw the Emperor, like I said before, that should have deaded it. Return of the Jedi should have been it. But okay, when they had the celebration of Endor, the yub nub, that should have been it. That should have been it. So yeah, Skywalker saga, Rey saga. When I watch these movies again, Skywalker saga 1 through 6, Rey 7 through 9. Yeah. I'm not even gonna say 7 through 9. I'm gonna say Rey 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah. Vader burned in the fire. I mean, that's the end of the great Skywalker arc. Yeah. I mean that's it. I mean, sure, the story continues, but you're right. It's more of a Ben Solo and Rey thing now. I guess Solo's technically got Skywalker blood in him because of Leia, right? So
right.
Technically, I guess it's still Skywalker, but for me, I think it ends when Vader burns on Endor in that fire. Yeah. I mean, to me, the story still continues, but it's something else now. It's the Palpatine trilogy.
Right. Yeah. And they almost wanted to have a Yub Nub scene at the end because there was a little celebration at the end. Yeah. I was expecting the Yub Nub, and we didn't get that, but whatever. But yeah, man.
Speaking of the celebration, though. Speaking of that celebration, though, we got to talk about because we've been, obviously we're talking about the big spoilers and things that we liked and didn't like. Mm-hmm. One of my favorite moments in the movie, too, at least for just a diehard fan, was Maz Kanata giving, I believe it was Maz Kanata who gave it, but giving Chewie the medal. That was
he always needed that, son. He needed that. I did like that. I did love that moment. He's like, he finally get his motherfucking medal, son. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Speaking of Chewie, I like Chewie in this too, because when Leia passed away, he really felt like he had some pain, so he was on the ground saying, Granny, don't, god damn it. Leia, like, shit, it's been a long ride. Like, I felt him, son, like, damn, he was feeling that shit. I was like, more than anything, he was hurting, son. I was like, god damn.
Chewie, for sure.
Chewie was a rock star in this movie, man. Chewie, he's a rock star in every movie he's in, but in Last Jedi, they kind of pushed him to the side, but in this movie, he had a lot of screen time, and I like Chewie in this, man.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
Even C-3PO had a little arc for a second there, you know what I'm saying? with his little Sith plans in his head and shit. Yeah, that was cool. He had more of an arc than he had in any of the movies. C-3PO here. I think he had a pretty good arc. I was like, oh, okay, cool. R2 played the background. This one, he was a lot heavier in the prequels, but he kind of played the background a little bit. He came in when he needed to put C-3PO's memory back. But I like C-3PO's arc. C-3PO's, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I think that I like what Anthony Daniels did in this movie as 3PO. He was definitely a lot more funny in this film. There was a lot of little funny moments. But, you know, there were some moments near the beginning in the first act that I felt were just like they were rushing the emotion. Things like the fake out of Chewie being dead.
Yeah.
I thought to myself, that happened so abruptly. And then, like, it was like, what, seconds later that you're like, oh, he's fine. I'm like, oh, damn. Same thing with 3PO. They're like, oh, we're going to wipe his mind. And he says in the, you know, there's that great line from the trailer. He's like, looking at my friends for the last time. And then, like, the second he says that little Babu Frick character, the one in the mechanic, he just like the second he says that. So I'm like, man, let me hold on to this emotion a little bit. And then it wasn't long after that obviously he gets his mind back. So I felt like they did a couple things where they got you real emotional for a second, or thinking like, oh damn, and then it was like kind of like wrapped up really quickly. Same thing with like this one wasn't as much of an emotional thing, but like General Hux, him being a spy, and then them just killing him off like 5 minutes later. I was like, damn, like they just did his whole character dirty, 100%.
Yeah, it was a lot of death fake outs in here too. Like Rey's dead, but nope, Ben Solo can bring him back. Chewie's dead, but psych, he back. C-3PO's mind is white, but psych. He right back and shit, you know what I'm saying? There's a lot of fake out stuff. It's like, man, y'all with these fake deaths, y'all getting like Marvel now.
Well, what J.J. Abrams is known for being real safe and, you know, not really taking any chances like that. So I saw a video where there were, I guess, supposedly leaks about the movie where, okay, well, this supposedly happened or this happened. So there was a leak where the Falcon gets blown up.
I heard about
okay,
that.
there was a thing going around that Lando, Lando, Chewie, and like 3PO and all them was in the Falcon, and when Palpatine put out the Sith lightning and blew all them ships up, the Falcon was one of them. So I was preparing myself for that moment so I could walk the fuck out of the movies.
Exactly. It's like, you know how kids and children and grown men that would destroy right there in the aisle if they blew up the Falcon with Chewie and 3PO and that shit and Lando?
I would have walked out. But see, I know that's not JJ's style though. JJ don't get down like that. He's too safe.
Yeah, I would have been mad at the motherfucker. I was mad at the motherfucker when I thought they killed Chewie like that. Like, this is some whole ass shit. This motherfucker been around 42 years. Y'all just gonna fucking kill him in a bitch ass cutscene, son? Fuck, get out of here. They're like, oh, okay, he cool. It's all good, dude.
Yeah, that's how
if you don't want to get embarrassed inside a movie theater, don't come to the movies with me because I'm that guy, I'm that person that yells at the screen. So yeah, when that happened, I said, I know they just killed Chewie. They did not just kill Chewie. And my daughter's sitting there like, Daddy, really? Yeah, I'm that guy. I yell at the screen.
Yeah.
You must be good for horror films.
Oh, yeah.
What's that?
I said you must be good for horror films. Like I love that kind of stuff for horror films. Like that's where it's the funniest.
Yeah, that's the funniest. Or you get into the new Black movie coming out, like whatever Black with like Queen and Slim, man. These people are talking to the goddamn screen. Bitch, I told you the motherfucker got the knife. Look at you now, bitch. You stabbed. I told you. Run out the fucking door, bitch. Why you ain't listen to me? They shot this shit 2 years ago, but they can't hear you.
I'm that guy. I'm that guy. Okay, Queen and Slim where Slim was hanging out the car. Listen to her. I said, nigga, get your ass back in the car. I yelled at the screen.
He yelled at the screen.
Yeah. That's me. So I did that in this movie. Yeah. So my daughter was a little embarrassed.
I know they killed Chewie. Hey, I know they killed Chewie, did they? They better not have, motherfucker.
That's me. Sorry. Yeah.
Something else I feel like we got to talk about that has been confirmed after the fact is what Finn wanted to tell Rey, which is apparently, I kept thinking to myself, what did he want to tell Rey? Like, I kept thinking, was it going to be romantic? Because, you know, like you could tell they had a thing in The Force Awakens, and then in The Last Jedi, he was kind of reluctant to Rose's kiss, and you were kind of like, I was like, okay, is he going to try to tell her he loves her? And then nothing happened. I was like, what the fuck? But then I was thinking to myself, oh, he probably wanted to tell her that he was Force sensitive, like because you could tell he had the Force throughout the movie. He kept having these moments, and then J.J. Abrams has come out since and confirmed that what Finn wanted to say was that he was Force sensitive to Rey. So, how do you guys feel about that? Thinking about Finn being Force sensitive.
I always had a suspicion that he was Force sensitive, even in the Force Awakens. How he was just holding his own with a fucking Sith Lord Master Kylo Ren, and he holding his own with him. You know what I'm saying? He got his back slashed up, but this motherfucker, you know what I'm saying, hanging with Kylo Ren and shit, you know. And then little sprinkle, especially in this movie, throughout was sprinkled that he was Force sensitive, and I was like cool with it. So I'm wondering, you think they will even carry this story on with these characters, or you think this is the last we'll see of them too? I kind of answered the question and asked one.
All right, well, you know what, can I get my 2 cents?
Yeah.
Take Finn and throw him away. I don't care what he said. Finn is my least favorite character in this trilogy. I absolutely cannot stand Finn. From the moment I saw him in The Force Awakens, every time you saw Finn, he was either breathing heavy or Rey, Rey. We can't leave her. I'm like, if this nigga yell one more time, I hate Finn. I hate him. Even after Kylo Ren slices back up, he wakes up, not saying thank you God that I'm alive. The first thing he said when he waking up was, "Where's Rey?" Bruh, Rey ain't feeling you. Okay, Rey. It was Rey was not feeling this dude. I'm not feeling Finn. Look, he's that character that you can take and just throw away. I don't ever want to see Finn again.
Speaking of Finn too, he had that one black chick on his planet. I thought he was about to get down, son.
I thought so too, but look.
Then Lando took his bitch.
I was about to say Lando came and got it.
Lando like, oh well,
D.
I can show you. You can come with me. She was like, shit. All right.
Didn't that come off kind of creepy? That came off a little creepy a little bit. I'm like, Lando was,
this motherfucker 80 years old.
Well, for me, I thought I took that real different. So hold on, real quick. As far as Finn, I personally really like Finn. He ain't the best character in the trilogy, or like even, but I enjoy him for the role he plays. I like John Boyega. He's charismatic, but I can understand why you feel that way. But I like the idea of him being Force sensitive. And going back to the question you asked real quick, Q, you asked, do I think the story will go on? I honestly don't think now. I really don't think this is the end of the Skywalker saga as an overall. I think that at the end of the day, they're going to go on now. They're going to make more Star Wars stuff. You mean to tell me that in 10, 15, 20 years, that if they put out a trailer with Daisy Ridley a little bit older, she's more of a Jedi Master now, and maybe she's training Finn, or Finn is like kind of learning, that all of us ain't going to be lining up to watch that damn movie? We're all going to be right fucking there watching the movie. And I think that it's just like, I was watching a trailer recently, when I did my review for Revenge of the Sith recently. In the trailer for that, it was like, the saga comes to an end. And I'm just like, yeah, bro. Like I've seen this before. You know what I mean? Like, so for me, I mean, I'm gonna go watch it if they do it again. If it ends here, that's fine too. But I think that they could definitely play off of Finn. I feel like they were almost sprinkling in things to set up for 15, 20 years down the future to be like, oh, Star Wars is coming back. But
yeah. I think they're gonna make more Star Wars movies. I think they might give them a little pause right quick and try a couple other things. I don't know what it can be. Knights of the Old Republic, maybe. I know Kevin Feige's involved, and I heard Jon Favreau rumblings or some such. So I think it's going to be another Star Wars movie. Because Star Wars 1 planned for what year? I don't know if it's 2022.
Yeah, I think it's 2022 or 2023. I got to look again. But yeah.
Star Wars movie?
Yeah. It's going to be something.
It's going to be a while, which is nice. We need a nice little breather from the on screen, like the big screen Star Wars. You know, we got the Kenobi series coming. They still got the Cassian Andor show coming. You know, the character that from Diego Luna played in Rogue One.
Baby Yoda's popular.
Yeah, for sure.
I know you get pissed when we say Baby
Yoda. No. At this point, I've accepted it, right? Because the issue for me, right, was like I started seeing all the memes. People are like, oh, we know it's Baby Yoda, or not Baby Yoda. Just calling him that, and I was like, and that made me roll my eyes a little bit, because I'm like, all right, well, some of the people that are sharing that I personally know are the same motherfuckers texting me or messaging me on private message like, yo, is that Baby Yoda? Was that Yoda?
Oh, they think it's like Yoda for real.
Yeah, like I know so many people who thought it was actually Yoda. Some people were like, "Oh, yeah, like I thought that was Boba Fett and Yoda." And I'm like, you know what I mean? Like, I can't tell you how many people like actually spoke to me about that like that. So when I see people like acting like, "Bro, I knew that wasn't Yoda," like we're just calling him that. I'm like, you didn't know shit. You're a fucking liar, and you're just sharing the meme around because you think that you know what you're talking about now. So at this point, I've accepted it. Maybe Yoda. the child,
I'll fuck you
whatever
up.
his name is. Apparently, there's a name. They said apparently Bob Iger came out saying that he knows the name and there is a name. I'm sure we'll find out what it is. Maybe in this next final episode.
Yeah, that motherfucker was doing evil shit though. He choked the bitch in the episode.
Yeah,
Hey, ain't that a dark side power? I mean, choking is a dark side power. I don't know if just Jedi can do that, right? Right, Anthony?
I mean, they technically can. It's just the dark side move for sure. Like the kid obviously needs some training. He needs a nice whooping real quick.
So he just did it. So like the same thing with Rey in this movie. She could just shoot lightning like the Emperor. I thought that was like
Sith lightning.
Yeah, because I thought you had to be like deep into the Sith.
You had to be deep into the Sith
to shoot lightning.
I think it's in her blood. I think it's in her blood in the same way that like Leia never trained in the Force for a long time, but she just had these connections, Okay. And I think with Rey tapping into the Force, she's obviously like she's really powerful because she's connected to Palpatine, which again goes back to me wondering how the hell did Palpatine's kid himself not actually have abilities. That makes no sense to me. But but with Rey, I can tap into it. And if I look back to like The Last Jedi, you think about when she's fighting all those Praetorian guards with Kylo, which is one of my favorite scenes in that movie.
Oh yeah.
She's like shouting like every time like she's gonna like go into like fight one of them. She's like. Like you know what I mean? Like she's like
real aggressive and Jedi.
There's some anger in her too. So if you tap, the dark side powers from Star Wars in general has always been really explained as just being something that you tap into via emotion rather than control essentially. Yeah,
like training. It would have been doper if she would have went more into the dark side. I think what I'm saying, especially with Palpatine. I think it would have made a more interesting arc for her character to see her dive more deeper into the dark side. I think that would just been dope. Even and then with Ben fighting with the light too, but he was dark. I mean, like I think that could have worked, but they didn't play up to it a whole bunch. They just kind of tapped into it because the story was moving so fast too. So like I got one more question too. How did Lando Calrissian, he went back to got the homies with the Millennium Falcon, right? All the way from the outer edge, and he came back like 15 minutes later with the hyperdrive. I was like, would that take like a day or two? But I don't know. I know the Millennium Falcon. I mean the warp speed is fast, but I don't think it was that fast, right? The hyperdrive is fast, but like 15 minutes fast from the outer rim to get everybody in the Star Wars to come back into hyperspace coming out.
I got no answer to that shit.
I don't know. Or just cool shit.
That's some of that Star Wars. Just like, all right, I gotta. Yeah, fine. Here they're all here. They were all waiting for the call. Like nobody was like
just
chilling or busy. You know what I mean? Yeah, exactly. It's just one of those things. I guess stuff like that for me is like it doesn't bother me as much, but it's a funny point for sure.
Yeah.
Like, and with Lando, I wanted to go back to what you guys were saying before. With that girl, I can't remember what her name was. Jara, something with a J. The girl that was hanging out with Finn the whole movie. I kind of got the vibe when he asked her. Yeah, exactly. When he asked her, like, where are you from? And she goes, I'm from whatever. I can't remember what she says. I have to see the movie again. But she says, I'm from this place. Or like, I was taken from my home, because she was a stormtrooper. He kind of like gave her this look and was like, well, let's find out where you're from.
Yeah.
Almost like they were implying like he was her dad. And I thought to myself, like that's the vibe I got. That's the vibe my girlfriend got. That the people I was with. And I was just thinking to myself, like, why would they try to throw that in at the very end? I'm thinking like, Lando's out there shagging and bagging anybody he could. Like, that was his whole character. You mean to tell me that he probably got many kids? He's probably got a bunch of kids.
Oh, yeah, I ain't thinking about that. Lando's daughter.
Lando's still trying to pop Leia. Remember Lando had that line in the movie? He was like, make sure you give Leia my love.
Yeah, son. He was still trying to holler. He was still trying to holler from the side. Yeah, where that Leia at.
Lando always wanted a piece of Leia, man. Now that Han gone, that's a perfect opportunity.
How was Leia? Huh?
Yeah. Hello, what have we here? Welcome, Leia. All right. You old smooth. I wish I tell you what else I wish we could have got was the Knights of Ren. They never really went into, because the Knights of Ren look cool as shit, and I always wondered, okay,
they ain't do nothing.
I'm like, I want to know more about that part.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
We didn't get that. Like, you saw them, they were there, And then when Ben turned back, he killed them all. But I'm like, damn, that was just a waste of a cool looking group.
Yeah. The way he just kind of sliced them up. It wasn't even cool as the throne room scene in Last Jedi. They just was just kind of there and just like, oh man, that's disappointing. I wanted them to be cooler. Did like the Force transfer thing though, like when they transferred items through the Force. I thought that connection was dope. I really liked that Force power in this movie.
Yeah. Specifically when they were having that whole fight when she's in his quarters up on his ship, and they're like just transferring like a couple things here and there. They're having a whole lightsaber fight, but not actually being there. Yeah, that was definitely a cool scene. But yeah, you're right. The Knights of Ren definitely didn't get the screen time I thought they were going to get. There's been some comics recently that have come out that I've read that expanded upon them, which I enjoyed. I was under the belief that they were also Luke's like students, you know what I mean? Like they broke off with Kylo Ren. That's the vibe I got from The Force Awakens, and there's actually a new comic that came out like probably within the last month and some change, where the comic is about Luke and younger Ben fighting the Knights of Ren. So the Knights of Ren existed before Ben even turned to the dark side and Luke. So and then now he eventually becomes Knights of Ren, or the master of the Knights of Ren. So I don't know, like that. I feel like that was definitely something that was so cool, like you say, that just was not explored to the extent that it could have been.
Yeah, just a missed opportunity with so much other things going on, and it's understandable. It's almost like this should have been two movies, but I know they were trying to round up. You know what I'm saying? Like if we could explore the Knights of Ren stuff, and like Anthony Perez said, if we could explore that Leia and Ray training stuff a little bit more, would have been, you know what I'm saying, good. Even if they did it CG, because Carrie Fisher passed away, we would have got a little bit more connection with them. It would have meant more, you know what I'm saying. Certain scenes would have been meant more, but you know what, JJ, he tried his best to try to please the fans and try to make the best movies can. I know it was a monumental task with not really having a plan, I don't think, you know what I'm saying, going into this film. So, you gotta give it what it is. And like you say, I'm very hopeful for what the Star Wars is gonna bring in the future. I think they're gonna look at this like some fans like yourself like truly love it, but I think they're gonna look back on this and see where we stumbled in some spots and come up with something dope in 2022. You know what I'm saying? I think we're gonna have a lot of more special things because Warner Brothers fell hard with the Justice League. They had all the superheroes in there, and that movie only grossed like $600 and something million, right? With all of them in it. Joker just hit over $1 billion. So like
by
that's
itself,
crazy. Yeah. You gonna have to kind of step back. You know what I'm saying? Start getting your ducks in a row. And I think we're gonna have some very, very powerful Star Wars stuff. I think moving forward. A lot of people say it's Kathleen Kennedy. She's a great producer and all. She can produce some shit, but maybe this might not be the job for her. If I'm not good at my job, I'm probably not gonna have that job anymore. I'm gonna be fired. But her films have been successful. So what do? You know what I'm saying? Like I don't know, or is it, and the fans are not unified. We're kind of even split, even in this in this review here. So what do you think is the best notion for Star Wars moving forward now, or you think it's fine as it is, and it should continue on this same path that it's going? Because Star Wars basically is not going anywhere. But what do you guys think from fan standpoint?
I think the missing ingredient, take it back to the basics, man. Go back to the basics. I'm going to quote Rocky 3 right now, favorite movie. Rocky lost to Clubber Lang. Apollo Creed came into him and says, you know what? Go back to the beginning, go back to the basics. And the basics is George Lucas. He's still alive. He's still sharp as a whip. I say bring Lucas back. And, there might be some clashing going on because I heard he did do some, he wrote some treatments for episode 7, 8, and 9. They said, we're not doing that. But I think if you want to bring Star Wars back to what made it Star Wars, who better than the man that created it, the man that gave us all the toys and the memories and shit, George Lucas. I say bring him back. Everybody else could stay in place. A lot of people blame Kathleen Kennedy, and, there's really, I don't exactly know what her part is in these movies, but I think bringing back George will bring that Star Wars magic back. He's the missing ingredient.
Yeah, for sure. I could definitely agree with that 100%. For me, when it comes down to Star Wars, Star Wars will always be George Lucas. Star Wars and George Lucas for me are just synonymous. The day I saw George Lucas in person one time, it was at here in Disney World. Star Wars Celebration was here in Orlando. There was this event. There's this stunt show they have at Hollywood Studios here, where they have the new Star Wars action. It's like an Indiana Jones stunt show, and they redid it this one special night where it was like all Star Wars themed. So it was still Indiana Jones going through this adventure. He, when he comes across that guy in the movie, whipping around the sword and doing all the cool shit, and Han Solo just shoots him. But in this case, it was Darth Maul. So he came out and the Duel of the Fates music starts playing. It was just like a fun show, but George Lucas was there along with other actors because Star Wars Celebration was going on. And I was probably 20 feet away from him, and I just saw him. Me, and I was just blown away. In that moment, that was what Star Wars was about for me. You know what I mean? So all of that being said, I agree with you, Rashad. I think bringing George Lucas, maybe not in as the main creative lead, because I think he's a little. I think mentally he's depleted on it a little bit. I think that it breaks my heart to say, but the overall reaction to the prequels over all these years broke his heart. You can see it in interviews, the way he talks about it. There's a salt to him about the way that people received his films, and I love those films despite their flaws. But yeah, so you're right about he did write outlines for for what he wanted this trilogy to be, and Disney bought it. They bought it. It's in Bob Iger's new book. If you guys haven't heard about that whole story or look into it, Bob Iger wrote about how George Lucas felt betrayed, which breaks my heart to hear, right? He felt betrayed that they didn't follow his stories. He wanted to dive deeper into the Wills and into the midichlorians and all that kind of stuff. And so it was going to start getting deeper into this other side of what George Lucas wanted to do. And if you guys don't know what the Wills are, they're kind of essentially these outer force beings that look into the universe. They're kind of just entities of the Force. And in the Clone Wars, as you get further, they touch on that. You do get a glimpse there's a great episode with Yoda where he actually interacts with the Wills. And they're essentially these force beings outside of actual physical manifestation that are kind of watching over all of the universe. They are essentially part of the Force itself. And so it's really interesting stuff. And so that's what George Lucas wanted to have seen that. But I feel like they probably felt, with the fact that people reacted negatively to things like the midichlorians and all this kind of stuff, that they felt like maybe it wouldn't. So I would love to see George Lucas come back, even to direct one movie, write one movie, get a little bit of flavor of George back in there. And I think for me, when it comes down to really what's going to make the future of Star Wars better, I think that they're going to better things now when they can disconnect themselves from the limitations of the Skywalker saga, these characters that people know and love that are so attached to. I think that, The Mandalorian is showing it. That show may have its little Easter eggs and connections to other films and the things we love about Star Wars, but for the most part, it doesn't rely on that. Hey, you like Star Wars visuals, you like the universe, you know how it feels and how it looks and how it sounds. Here's a story within that universe that doesn't really rely on what you've already seen before. And I think that's where the strength of Star Wars can continue to grow. Is it's all about just getting great stories in this universe. I was talking to somebody. I recently just did a Q&A not Q&A video, but I did one of those question videos. Q, you asked a question on my video about Star Wars, and I just filmed that yesterday. I got to edit it still, but I'm going to have it up soon. And one of the questions somebody asked me was what if I would like to see a sports related Star Wars movie. What they said was it'd be cool to see a film. Think about a movie like Ford versus Ferrari that just came out, or something like that. About in my head too. Exactly, but about pod race, taken just as seriously, just as grounded, great practicals and all that kind of stuff. But the movie itself is not about the Force, not about action, but it's about these people who are pilots that want to just be the best pod racer. You could do cool things in Star Wars like that, where you could start to get away from it just being what we know Star Wars to be. That universe is so diverse, and you could do stuff like that, like a racing film, like a flying film, a espionage film, which we kind of got with Rogue One. So I think that them diving deeper into just telling stories within Star Wars that don't rely on the Skywalker saga is where the strength is really going to lie. And I personally love what Kennedy's been. I love the fact that she's been giving these creators the abilities to do what they want to do, and that's going to work for some, not work for others. I think that's why Jon Favreau's strengths are working in Mandalorian because she trusts him to do what he wants to do. She trusted Rian Johnson. She trusts JJ. Dave Filoni being essentially like a god within Star Wars. He's the showrunner of Clone Wars, and that was the last thing that George Lucas worked on. And George Lucas essentially taught him everything that he knows, essentially. And that went on to do, he did it into Rebels, done Resistance, done some of my favorite episodes in the. So I think that you have all these people that are inspired, have worked with George, and know what George's vision was. And I think as long as once they get past the Skywalker saga, with so much connection, the fan base will start to be unified a lot and just tell cool stories in this universe. Yeah, for sure. Thanks for having me on here, man. This is awesome. I've been wanting to do one of these things with y'all for like the longest time. I'd be sitting there watching these videos with you guys together. I have like 3 of them at the very top of my watch later. The Child's Play one that you guys did together.
Oh, that was the first one.
The Terminator one that you guys just did recently, and there's another one. I gotta go look. But I have 3 of them because they're all spoiler reviews, and I just got Child's Play on Blu-ray, so I gotta check that out. But I haven't seen those movies, so I don't want to get a spoiler just yet. But I cannot wait to watch those videos because anytime I've seen you guys do the slasher one you guys did not too long ago, you guys are just hilarious. Easily 2 of my favorite channels that I've gotten to know on this channel, and that's not. You guys honestly inspire me to continue pushing on. Like that's no bullshit. I love you guys' channel, so to be able to do this with you guys is genuinely an honor. I talk in Star Wars, I'll talk it any day. So yeah, guys, anybody who's watching this, check out my channel. I review movies just like these 2 guys. Obviously, I'm kind of addicted to Star Wars, but I definitely give these guys more love because they deserve 100% all subscribers.
Good shit. Rashad G.
You kind of good at this shit, ain't you?
Yeah.
That's be kind of hard to follow up with. Rashad G Reviews, check me out as well. This was definitely a dream come true. I've been wanting to do this for a minute. Me and Q did quite a few videos, and we always say, man, we gotta get Anthony Perez on one of these. When we talk about Star Wars, finally made this happen, man. I'm glad we did. At first, I ain't gonna lie, man, I was kind of nervous because I know how you feel about Star Wars. I'm like, damn, I hope this shit doesn't go left.
Yeah, it's like choke me.
But you know what? But I think real recognize real, and true Star Wars fans. We just get each other. It's just something that we just understand each other, even though a lot of us are kind of divided. But real recognize real, man. So this video was fun as hell to do. Definitely want to do more of these. And that's it, man. Had fun doing this shit, y'all. And I didn't take not one shot. I was sober through this whole video.
Nice. Yeah,
usually I gotta take a few shots, man.
Yeah, it was good shit, man. I want to thank y'all so much for coming in and talking about Star Wars. Rise of Skywalker. This definitely will not be the last discussion that we have. If something else dope come out, I'm gonna call on y'all like the Avengers. Maybe we can come through another podcast if you guys down or something.
I'm down, dude. Yeah, we should try to do something like maybe like a full spoiler like season review of the Mandalorian.
Cool. Yeah, that'd be dope. That man, like you said, I look up to both you guys' channel, man. Y'all be coming out bringing that fire content. You know what I'm saying? Anthony Perez, I'm glad you didn't force choke me through the Discord here for not liking Star Wars Rise of Skywalker. But what I like, we were from 3 different perspectives when we came and gave our own honest opinions without being disrespectful or anything like that. And we both all showed our love for Star Wars, and I think that was dope. Make sure you go check out these guys' channels, Anthony A. Perez, Rashad G Reviews. Make sure you check them out, give them a like, subscribe to both channels, and make sure you check out Q Reviews. Hit a thumbs up on this video so we can bring you more content like this. And don't just stare at it, motherfuckers. Eat it. Peace.